At this month's online Joomla user group for London, we were joined by Tim Davis, host of the comprehensive and informative YouTube channel Basic Joomla Tutorials, and Chetan Tim, owner of JoomDev, a successful Joomla template and extension development company. Together, they make up the wildly popular JoomCast Podcast, which we invited them to come and talk to us about. They talk about how they got started, the success of their online bromance, and what's next. We'd like to share that conversation with you. We'll leave useful links where you can find Tim and Chet in the description area below.
So what was next on the agenda? I guess it's Tim and Chetan, stars of the show, who I haven't introduced yet, but you guys can introduce yourselves now.
Tim, you're on mute. You go first.
Hey there, Joomla fans. Tim Davis here. I'm a Joomla fan too.
Classic line.
That's the opening for my YouTube videos. Yeah, I'm Tim Davis. I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. That's Vancouver Island on the left coast. It's good to have Alex here, another Canuck there in Toronto. I was born in Toronto. What do I do with Joomla? I do web design. I have hosting pretty much just for my clients. I don't really try to compete for getting, with the big hosting companies. Can't beat their price, and I don't want to match their service. So, so I have the Basic Joomla Tutorials YouTube channel. I've had that for like 6 years, but really been doing more with that in the last 3 years. And I co-host the podcast, the JoomCast Podcast, with my great friend Chetan.
Yeah, thank you. So I have been working in Joomla forever now, like 10 years or so, but I only got involved with the Joomla community starting like 2-3 years ago, 2017-ish or something, when we started doing templates for Joomla, and then we did some extensions, and recently we introduced the JD Builder. That's the page builder for Joomla. And apart from that, that's pretty much what I do to make money. And then to have fun, I just host a podcast with Tim, co-host.
Co-host indeed. Well, tell us more about JoomCast then.
Well, Chetan was sort of dragged into video. I guess it was one of Chetan's employees, Naveen, who contacted me asking if we could, I don't know if it was to feature Asteroid Framework or
Yeah, no, it was really just to do a video on Asteroid itself, like what is Asteroid all about and everything. It was really just that part. So yeah, go ahead.
So I said, well, hey, why don't you come on to one of my live streams and just demonstrate it? So we kind of worked through that, and I got put in touch with Chetan, and I had no idea that he owned the company or anything like that, and he never said anything about that. So he did the preview of Asteroid Framework on the channel, and afterwards, because he was working, like I knew he was working in the middle of the night in India, so I thought, oh, okay, this is just some guy who's working for the company, and he got stuck with doing this up in the middle of the night, and the owner's somewhere sleeping or whatever like that. So it was afterwards I was talking about the company and different things and visiting with Chetan, and I said, so who is the who owns the companies? Oh, I own the company. And so I was pretty. Let me just. Can you hear that piano in the background? No. Okay, good. My grandson's banging away on the piano upstairs. So we started to. The other interesting thing too about that is when I was trying to get Chetan on the live stream, I said, "Well, come on, put a camera on, so we can see your face." And he did not want his face, that young, handsome face, not scarred by the years of time like mine, but he did not want to appear on video. So I was kind of pushing him to do that. And I thought he was just a shy guy. And then when I found out he was the owner, he said, "Well, we don't really have a webcam here at the office." I said, "Oh, come on, man, you own it. Just go buy one or go get one." So sort of dragged him into that. And at the same time, we really clicked and enjoyed hanging out together, and just got a really great friendship going. And so somewhere along the line, we talked about doing a podcast. And what else am I missing there, Chetan?
No, yeah, that's it. I was a shy guy, to put that for the record. I was very shy. I never wanted to have my face out on the internet. And then all of a sudden, Tim is like, okay, we have to do it. And then, like you said, I got very comfortable talking to him. And eventually, when I looked at one of his videos, and this is the discussion we were having yesterday, he's like, do you want to talk about what we're going to talk on the Joomla user group tomorrow? Because I don't want to go unprepared, right? But if you if you watch any of his videos, he is totally unprepared. He doesn't know what he's doing, right? He's just
Well, I wouldn't say totally
in.
like that, but
he's jumping in to write some code. He knows he doesn't know to write, and then there's Beyond, and there's sometimes me and all these people in the chat trying to help. Hey, you're missing a column there. That's why it's not working, or instead of background color red, just write background red, something like that, right? So when watching his videos, it gave me great confidence, not because he can do that, but just so because he didn't knew Joomla that much. He was just trying to be part of the community. And I, at least comparing to Tim, knew Joomla a little better, right? So I was like, okay, I can be on video. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I was just shy. I was shy in school. And I think all those childhood years. And Tim did a great job on putting me out of the closet, if that's the saying. Yeah.
well,
Sometimes it means a different thing, but
yes.
sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you want to come out, that's fine.
Yeah. No. That's what I said. Not coming out. I said putting me out of the closet. So I'm not coming out of that closet. He just pulled me out of some closet where I was just shy of having my face scraped all over internet. And it was just really just a shyness thing. You have kids who are shy at school, just that stuff. Yeah.
Hi, Alexandra has just joined us. Hello, Alexandra.
And I always had this from like a year ago, back in 2017, I had this plan of podcast, because we look at the podcast that was for Joomla, and the last episode for that podcast was like 2017 or something. So I was thinking about doing a podcast, but then I wasn't confident enough to do it myself. I could do it, but I just didn't have the confidence. Just like I didn't have the confidence to put my face online, right? So Tim was a great help there, not just to get my face scrapped all over the internet, but also like, hey, we could do it. Even if we don't know what we're talking about, we could do it. It was a great example,
You guys have done a great job. How many episodes are you up to now?
22 will be released today.
Yeah,
I just edited it. Yes, or tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. So the last episode is with Hans, and that's the last one for season 1 of JoomCast. We're just going back and kind of revisiting the flow of the podcast, kind of arguing what can we do, and shall we include something specific to Joomla 4 now that that's going to be out in a few months, hopefully, air quotes, right? And really just doing that. So you're expecting season 2 of JoomCast later this year, in a couple of months, with new episodes, new guests, and more exciting stuff.
Very good. So who is it? Hans Pappenberg?
Hans van der Meer.
Van der Meer. Ah, okay. There's more than one Hans. Who
Yes,
was
there's more than one Hans.
Who was your favorite episode so far?
Allison Meeks was pretty funny.
She was very funny.
she was one of the early ones. I think she was like, was she the first or the second that we interviewed?
She was the first person we interviewed apart from each other. I think we really enjoyed talking to each other. Even today, when I was listening to what he sent. So what the process we have is he does all the audio editing, and then I prepare the blog post and the tweets that go out. So I listen to the podcast because it's probably like a few weeks later when we're publishing it. And then I figure out what we spoke to that person about, if I had not made notes while we were speaking. So I was just making notes, and I really enjoy the time we spent together. So I don't necessarily have a favorite. I don't know if Tim does, but it's just that talking to each other for us is really funny and entertaining. At least for me, it is.
You guys have a great chemistry. It's really funny listening to you both
Yeah,
sometimes.
we call it bromance.
Yeah, we have a bromance, and we actually, I start referring to us as Chatham.
Yeah.
I think I might have spelled it that way by accident.
Right.
So what's
No, we have
planned
a
for
lot-
next year, guys?
Yeah, we have, pardon me?
What's planned for the next series?
Well, there,
Oh, it's a
Chatham.
secret.
That's why I said we're arguing over it, because I have some other plans and Tim is not agreeing to those plans, which doesn't mean he's right or I'm wrong, right?
No.
So we're kind of just arguing, going back and forth on what the flow of the next podcast is going to, because we're
Let's
running
take a
out
vote,
of
guys. Let's let
Hey.
Joomla London can decide.
Yeah, if you want us to help hinder, then just feel free. We're very
Well,
opinionated.
one of the problems we're running into is, I can see a lot of people here who are, somewhat Joomla related, right? And no offense, really, what the idea of the podcast is to get an expert on Joomla, right? Someone who doesn't, who's just building websites in Joomla, again, no offense, does not qualify as an expert, is all I'm trying to say. So,
And I like to have just everyday people on.
right? So
So-
that's his idea. That's one disagreement, right? Second, we're honestly running out of guests. There are a lot of developers who I consider experts, but they don't want to be, they are probably as shy as I was, or maybe they have different reasons, but they don't want to be on a podcast. They don't want to talk to us, right? So we're honestly running out of guests. And instead of repeating same people, I'm like, okay, maybe we start talking about Joomla 4 a little.
Maybe you should
Or
maybe you
something
should
else.
talk to Phil. Have you invited Phil on your show?
Oh yeah, we talked about this, right? So we have like 5 people already. So we have Phil, we have this guy, Tim. What was the name of the guy who tweeted us?
We have Ray Lawler.
Ray. Yeah, we have Ray. So we have like 4, and then there was another person Tim met in Spain. So we have like 3-4 people already. But again, that doesn't count as a season where we want to
Well, why
do
don't you guys
like 15,
have a
20
look?
episodes.
You could have a look at like the Joomla days and also the Joomla Shack conference and see the people who talk there. I'm sure those guys have talked before. They might be open to talking again.
Got the whole of
Yeah.
production to go through as well.
Whole of production, yeah. Phil's just put them all forward. Great.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, maybe we'll just have you guys source guests for us, right?
It's just
I think there's lots of people still to interview. As we've talked about it, at this point in my life, maybe perhaps through much of my life, the thing I enjoy most about the podcast is entertaining. I enjoy the conversation, and just like my channel and just about anything Joomla I take part in, I learn lots of stuff. So if you watch my live streams, I learn stuff all the time doing my live streams. Bjorn will say, "Oh, you forgot the semicolon," and it's like, "Oh, okay, great." So I actually have people watching over my shoulder while I'm doing stuff. So I enjoy the connection. I enjoy the entertainment part of it.
is it just a way that you can do your client work and get everybody to troubleshoot the problems?
No, I'm really, there are actually have been a couple of live streams that never got publicized. In fact, I just thought this is not the content I want to associate with me, because it was dumber than usual. I mean, it was really, really, really bad. But Chetan is, I play the dumb guy, self-deprecating humor. So I can figure out a lot of things, but I mean, Chetan is by far more skilled and advanced in a lot of tech stuff. And so I think that's probably why we make a good team. But so when he says, "Oh, I wanted, let's talk about this or talk about that," I think, oh, it's just kind of like technical and boring. Like, it's not boring. It's very interesting to listen to, but it's like, oh, do I want to edit that for 6 hours to put that up? I mean, so
For me,
so
it's always about, sorry, for me, it's always about what value is going to be adding to the listener. I mean, it's less about me enjoying it, but what we're talking, is it actually adding a value to someone that the person is going to spend repeated 30 minutes every time we release a new episode. And that's why I want to make sure we're not only just adding new content where we're making fun of each other, or the Joomla community in general having fun, but really there is some genuine useful content that is being released as a part of podcast that the users may be interested in.
yeah, and I think that one of the things for this to work is that someone has to give. And with respect to technology and other things, I don't mind being the one that gives, because it's good to know what you don't know. And I know there's lots that I don't know. Now, what I do know is that, and I've done this, like, as someone who's just a user, I hear what the common person hears and probably doesn't understand or maybe doesn't know. So when a bunch of acronyms fly, you'll hear on an episode, I'll actually stop and explain, oh, if you're new to Joomla, a jug is a Joomla user group. Because when you just fly by and say, oh yeah, I was at the jug, it's like, if you were new, it'd be like, what the heck is this? And that's a great way to draw people into into community and watching out for that. So the other thing too is that I've done this a couple of times with Chetan's JoomDev site. We talk every day. I say, let me share the screen and let me show you how I'm trying to find this file on your site. And he has the benefit of watching just a very common, I always say, watch a dumb guy use your site. And I said, look, I'm trying to download the file here, but it's not here. I'm logged in here, and he'll take notes. And then a couple days later, I'll see it's a lot easier. In fact, once my wife wanted to try to do some stuff with Asteroid Framework. She's got a website. And I said, well, just go out and download it. And I watched her. I asked her later, and I said, oh, did you get that installed? She says, I couldn't figure out how to download it. So I called Chetan, or next time we're talking, I said, Susan tried to find how to download Asteroid. She couldn't figure it out. I said, she's the exact user you want to be selling to. And so even though, so I'm not a dumb guy as far as technology goes, but I am very tuned into what people hear and what they see and how they use things. And so every now and then I'll just slow Chetan down and say, whoa, wait a second. That's this. And because, for developers and for people that are, everything is obvious to the person that knows how to do it. And so sometimes we just need someone that's there saying, whoa, wait a second, what, I don't get that. I don't know what that is. So whatever happens on the podcast, it's not just going to be a goofy entertainment thing. Although he and I could probably do another podcast just on that generally, but
Yeah.
Now we can add Susan to the list as a UX expert.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, man, I think we've all had that experience where maybe we've had a client who called us up and said, oh, I it won't let me do this. And so we say, well, what's on your screen, or what are you trying to do? And they try to describe it. You can't picture it. So I'll fire up some kind of screen sharing thing with them. Just watch how they're using the site you've built for them. Because I've watched and thought, oh my goodness, I had no idea that anyone would try to do that. And it may very well be like, okay, log in and have a whole row of quick menus that appear just when they're logged in, and they can just find it easy. Because to us, it's like, oh yeah, you go in the back end, it's here. Of course, it's an article, so it's going to be under here, blah, 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 blah. And so, what just take some time and watch people use it, and you might have to fix it or do some training for them or something.
Oh, that's definitely a good point. How long does it roughly take you to do the editing?
depending on, I mean, I've had to learn. At first, I was really making it really crisp. I was taking out every and super long pause, and then I realized it was okay to leave some of that in. But maybe a 30-minute podcast might take me. It's taking me as long as 6 to 8 hours. If not, I can do it a bit quicker. It also depends on the flow of things. If sometimes if we forget to ask something, we ask later on, then I got to find it and move it around. But so it's probably 4 to 6 to 8 hours, depending on how much we work with. This one that's coming out now is about 25 minutes long, and I think it was probably about 3 hours. But Hans had really short answers, and it also depends too on how well Chetan and I ask the questions. So sometimes I edit parts of the questions out, and some of it's too is, when you start editing what people have said, you got to be really careful to be honest with what they're saying. So if they take 5 minutes to make a point that could be made in one, and you've got lots of stuff to get to, you got to be really careful if you cut it down a bit, because you don't want to say something, have them say something that they actually weren't saying. So
Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, well, that's definitely a good level of commitment, guys. I'm really impressed. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, we have fun, and I'm happy to. It wasn't until I went full time, started thinking about going full time about 3 years ago. I thought, well, I've mostly just taken from the community down through the years. I mean, I was using Mambo, and then of course it turned to Joomla, and so I didn't really do much as far as contributing. I mean, I had a full-time job, and was sort of just a side gig a bit, but I definitely realized that okay, it's time for me to give some back, and so I the podcast is fun, but we've got a lot of positive feedback. So I think both Chetan and I are really happy to be contributing to the community that way, and getting to know people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I listen to it in my car most of the time. Are we at the next stage of our meeting, Phil?
What is the next stage?
I haven't got the timings in front of me.
This is when I think it's take up an offering for the guest speakers.
Take up an offering. Yes, it's in your email.
So, I mean, one of the things I'd like to ask is there's quite a lot coming up with Joomla 4 coming out that the community needs. Would you be happy to kind of push those things? So we need a lot of testers. Obviously, we've now turned beta. We need developers to really start pushing for making sure that their products are Joomla 4 ready. And, we've got some big events coming up. So Pizza, Bugs and Fun is in October. That's going to be, so myself and Benjamin are organising that. And that's going to be a bit challenging with COVID and everything. So we're kind of assuming that there might be lockdowns in the countries. So it'll be as much Pizza, Bugs and Fun, but maybe socially distanced as possible. And we've already got certain people saying that they'll do pizza cooking lessons so that people can join in and do their own pizzas. So we're going to try and make it as fun as possible. But all those things, if you could mention those and push those, if you've got the time to do that on that sort of thing, just to get the community more involved.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to let Chetan answer that because I've been talking lots. But is there more than that? Sure. Yeah.
No, we'd be more than happy to do that. Yeah, like I said, I mean, the part of the reason behind the podcast, yeah, we like talking to people, having a bromance, but yeah, really just to put Joomla out to the world. It's apart from the Spanish podcast that Carlos hosts, and there's another one that recently started. This is like the only podcast active in Joomla right now. So the idea was really just to get the community together. And yeah, if these things help, definitely, we're more than happy to do it.
I think that almost goes into giving you some stories, because it's like with Joomla London, one of the things that's, I've been doing this a long time, and I've got a couple of hundred sites and been developing all this time, but I still learn new things every single meeting, because someone will have used some component. It might be their first site, and they introduce me to a component, a module, or a plugin which I've never heard of and never thought of using. And then they show me what it can do, and it's like, oh, store that away. And a couple of clients down the road, they ask for something. Today, I happen to be able to give to another developer something that I've not used myself, but I saw a totally new user use a little while ago from Regular Labs. It was his terms of the bringing the chapter bits in, so he didn't have to do all of that just by scanning through the H1s, H2s and everything. And this developer said, oh, you never heard of anything like that? And I was like, yep, and gave it to him. He's like, oh, it's taken me hours. And I've never used it, but I saw someone else use it. And it is just that knowledge, passing it on. You may not need it yourself, but it's great to be able to spread that all out.
Well, I think one of the things that would help us too is that if there's someone on one of the teams or a developer or any of you that's like, hey, we're doing Pizza Bugs and Fun, can I come on your podcast and talk about it? That's what's helpful to us, because lining up people, or and if people have topics or subjects that are enthusiastic about it, that's really great, because then we can find a time, we can talk about it, we can kibitz around, we can hang out, and then we can put that up. Because we did do 2 election special editions, which we're not doing one for this election because man, we could have an election podcast at the rate things are going right now. But we talked about that. The other thing that I would just add too is that if it's something you want to talk about, yeah, we'd love to do it on the podcast. If it's something that you want to show, I would love to have you on the live stream. Mark DeChevre's here. I was totally lost forever on custom fields. And, I was picking up little things, but the brain cells had not had enough of a group meeting. They were all socially distanced in my head. And so finally, Mark, when he came on and did the live stream, he did 2, and they were like, I combined together 5 hours, but it really helped to bring a lot of that together. And it was just someone that knew. So even with, you were talking about that tool for testing, like if someone can come on my live stream and show me how to use it and I can figure it out, then there's a recording that a lot of other not going to say, oh, I don't know how to do that. If you don't know how to do it, a lot of people are just quiet about it. But to be able to just sit and watch it, or to sit and listen on a podcast, and it's a safe way for you to interact and get drawn into. So by all means, reach out to us if there's anything that you want to do in those areas.
Great.
There you go, Phil.
Fun chat we thought. So thanks to Tim and Chet for taking the time to join us for that. We've left links to their sites and social below. If you'd like to get involved to support the release of Joomla 4, as was mentioned in the recording, we've added links for where you can do that too. We have an additional recording from the same meetup of a Build a Joomla Module Code Along workshop hosted by Owen Oliver, which will be released shortly, so look out for that. We greatly appreciate you watching. If you think our recordings are useful, click the like button, and clicking the subscribe will make it easier for you to find us for new releases. Our next Juggle meetup, as ever, is on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, which this month falls on the 18th. We'll be joined then by Geraint Edwards, who will be filling us in on the impending Joomla 3.10 release, which will help us all transition to Joomla 4. More links for you in the description on how to join us for that, and we look forward to seeing you then.